Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Mimi.
I'm Peter.
And welcome to our first home in Silicon Valley.
Welcome to our newest Homeworthy series called Our First Home, where we meet young lovebirds who are building their first nest together.
Now we're the Taylors.
We're married.
These couples have both charming love stories and lovely homes.
It just feels great to be not only building a home, but building a life together.
So prepare to be swept off your feet by these incredible pairs and the places they call home. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Mimi Kelly. I work in the fashion industry. I have a belt brand called 7 Hills, and I work with my mom doing private label accessories.
My name is Peter Horne. I work on the sales and partnerships team at X, formerly known as Twitter.
This is Posey. She is a 4-year-old Chiweenie, we think. We're not totally sure. She was a COVID puppy, and she is the best part of our family. We are in Burlingame, California, about 12 miles south of San Francisco in the heart of Silicon Valley. Our home is a craftsman style home. It is very tiny and very sweet. We absolutely love it.
We've been together about 4 years, and we first met during the peak of COVID in summer 2020. So our first date was very much a COVID date at a park with a bottle of wine and a couple red Solo cups.
And then we did long distance for about 6 months while Peter lived in LA. And then he ended up coming back. We moved in together pretty quickly, actually, and we've been together ever since. We got married in September of 2024, so about 3 months ago. And yeah, it's been great. Welcome to our front room / my office space. This is the first thing you see when you walk into the house. And it's actually one of my favorite parts of our home. When I initially toured the house, I really wasn't sure what I was gonna do with a massive desk here, but I ended up making it a really lovely space. One of my favorite parts about this room are all the floral paintings. My mom actually is a big art collector. She had all of these in her office, and she actually gave some to me, which I'm so grateful for because now they're in my office. And we do still work together, and so having these here is just a really special tie to her. Another piece that I love in this room is my little framed Post-it note from my dad. My dad came to my office one day when I wasn't there and left a Post-it on my desk. It just says, "Love you, a secret admirer." Yeah, and that's the Post-it he wrote. And I had it on my computer for a while, and then I thought I would frame it. It's just a really special note to me for some random reason. This whole room not only is where I work, but I also feel like there's so much familial connection here, which I really love. I have some pin boards behind my computer where I have different material cuttings for work. This is really helpful in what I do, obviously. I make physical products. We do bags, belts, and small leather goods. So being able to touch and feel things is really important to me. I just have some coffee table books about work, which is great. You'll also see in our home a lot of horse paintings and horse art. I grew up riding horses. Horses are so important to me. I absolutely love them. So here are 2 paintings that are both of mares and foals, which I love. And then my most recent addition to this room is this wooden saddle. This is actually a real backpacking saddle, I believe, and I found it at a flea market, and I think it's the perfect home here. One of my favorite parts of our home is actually right when you walk in. I have this brass key ring that has a bunch of horses on it. This was actually in my childhood bedroom, and my mom let me take it, which I'm so glad. Because we rent this home, there's not a ton I could do in terms of like structural changes, but I found little ways to personalize the home. We changed out some of our switch plates to this kind of green stone, which I think added a lot more character instead of just having older white switch plates. And another way we did that was by changing out the knobs in this desk. When we moved in, the desk just had some silver knobs, and I wanted to make it feel a little bit more personal to me. So I found some hand-painted knobs on Etsy, and I switched them out, and I feel like it just adds a lot of character and charm to this space. I would say my favorite room in the house is actually my little workspace, which you can probably see behind me. It also flows perfectly into our main living room, and I absolutely love it. I don't work from home a lot, but when I do, I love being at my little desk. I just have so many cuttings. It's so inspirational to me, and it just feels so cozy. I also love the living room that we're in because I have a lot of my books here, and these are all books that I have read, probably 90% of them, and something about just being around them is just really comforting to me.
My favorite room would be this room, primarily because of the couch. It's the RH Cloud couch, and it's where you'll find me on NFL Sundays for about 8 hours. So it's pretty easy to get comfortable and kind of just chill out for a while.
Once you're done in the entryway, you come into our bigger living room. This, again, is one of my favorite parts of this house, and this is definitely Peter's favorite room because it's just Peter, me, and Posey right now. We don't need a lot of room for kids or for other things, so this is just a very chill room. So this couch has come with me through 3 apartments. This is one of my favorite purchases ever. It's just a really deep, super comfortable couch that I really think we'll have forever. Right over here, we have 2 landscape paintings that once again came from my mom. These were in her office, and when I saw them, they were hiding in a little corner, and I just took them off the wall and took them home. I asked her after the fact, and she was totally fine with it, so we're good there. These, I think, just add a lot of warmth to the room, which is really important to me. We've also added a lot of blankets in this house, which you'll see laying over chairs, on the couch, over corners. Because we have Posey, she loves to snuggle up, as do I. So we have a lot of throw blankets, and I just feel like it adds a little bit of texture and just some more character. Another part of this room that I really love are our layered rugs. We did this in our last home as well. And again, I really like the textural element. For a while, I had a hard time adding color, and I feel like starting with rugs and throw blankets has really allowed me to explore that more. This coffee table I think is so cool. It's actually a dipped concrete. I wanted a colored marble, and Peter kind of vetoed that for cost reasons. So I found a dipped concrete coffee table, and it is such a great focal point. I absolutely love it. In terms of coffee table styling, I keep it pretty basic with just some coffee table books. I try to find ones that not everyone has, but it's not a really big deal. These knit coasters I actually really love. My little brother lives in Alaska, and I visited him twice, and we went to a random flea market in Alaska, and they had these knit coasters, which I thought was so random, but now that I have them, I love them. They remind me of my brother. Also in this room, we have a ton of books. I would say about 85 to 90% are mine, and Peter contributed about 10%. I love to read. I have always loved to read. It's something that my dad instilled in me from a really young age, and I'm definitely a physical book person. I would have a really hard time styling these shelves without books, and I just absolutely love them. It feels really comforting to have them all here. Like I said, my family is such an important part of this house, an important part of my life. So I have a framed photo of my brothers and I. I don't have a ton of framed photos of me and Peter and me and my family. I just like to have little pieces everywhere. And this, again, I've carried through 4 different apartments, and it always just reminds me of my brothers. So I love it. We do have a fireplace in this room. It is not a working fireplace, so we just keep some candles in there. It's more decorative, which I am totally fine with at this point. We found this home in a little bit of an untraditional way. We were actually living down the street, about 5 houses down, and we loved our house. We were so happy in it, and the landlords unexpectedly told us that they had to sell the house. So about 3 weeks before our wedding, we were stuck trying to find a place to live. We absolutely love the community we're in. It took us 9 months to find the previous home we lived in, and we ended up getting really lucky. This house was for rent, and I messaged the realtor on Zillow at about 10 p.m., and he responded. I saw it the next day, and we basically signed our lease right then. Once you leave this main living room, you come into our formal dining room, which we do not use as a dining room. Again, we don't really have a purpose for it at this point. So we made it into kind of a den. We call it the reading room. We call it the other living room. It's just this great little space. I actually spend a lot more time in this room than I thought I would. It's really comforting. I like to read in here when Peter's watching sports. It's quiet, it's dark, and it's cool, so it's perfect. Posey also loves this couch. As you can see, there is a permanent dent in that cushion from where she lays, and she's cute, so she can get away with it. This coffee table I also took from my mom. I'm very lucky. My mom has great taste and has collected items throughout the years that now I get to take advantage of. So she let me have this one. Again, same styling with the coffee table, florals, books, and candles. It's try to keep it simple. This chair I have had forever. This I got at my first corporate job at an employee sample sale, which is so random. And I think it's such a great piece. I really do think I'll have it forever. And I got such a great deal on it. So I'm super happy with that. As door stops, I actually use bookends. These are horseshoe bookends, again, that I had in my childhood bedroom. And I didn't really have a place for them. So I thought they'd be great door stops. And I think having them on both sides of these doors is just a great little piece. When we moved in, there was this kind of random archway that I wasn't sure what to do with, but I ended up finding a chest that fit perfectly. We have this photograph of a horse. This is so important to me. So I'm really big into horse rescues. And for my birthday one year, Peter asked what I wanted. And I asked him to buy a photo from this photographer who donates 100% of her proceeds to horse rescues. So this is Frederick, I believe is his name. He was a rescue horse. He's so beautiful. And having this here just brings me so much peace and so much joy. It's such a great organization, so I love having a part of that in my home. I actually do not drink, but this bottle of Clase Azul we got at our welcome party for our wedding. We rented out a bar in this town and we ended up finishing this bottle, so they let us have it, which I think is really sweet. I'm not huge into bar carts, obviously, like not really my thing, but it's special to us at that point in our lives. Another kind of random piece here that I really love is this pewter tray. My mom and I travel so much for work. We're in Europe multiple times a year, and the most recent trip to Italy we went to Brescia in Italy, and that's the home of all these different pewter factories. Pewter is typically used in homeware and flatware, serveware, all that kind of stuff. We actually went to look at belt buckles, which was really cool. And they had a whole showroom of incredible pieces. And I wanted a tray so bad for this exact spot, but they didn't sell any of it there. So as a birthday gift, my mom somehow found it for me. And actually on the bottom of this tray, the Brescia emblem is pressed into it, which I think is really cool. I'll definitely have this forever and I really cherish it. This piece was another outlet purchase for me. I pride myself on being able to find really good deals on large pieces of art, and this was no exception. This actually doesn't fit into my style really, but I still think it looks great in this particular spot. It's a little bit more industrial than I like. This is like a detailed drawing of the Brooklyn Bridge, which I think is really cool. This piece fits perfectly in this room. I'm really glad we found a home for it because I do love it, even though it's a little bit more masculine than the rest of our stuff, but I think it looks great here. A somewhat different element of this room that I wasn't really sure about is actually this recess in the ceiling. I've never seen anything like this before, but it did remind me of our last San Francisco apartment with the molding and all the different elements. We still might change out this light fixture. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's a great little focal point, I'd say. Overall, one of the things I love about this house is just the different tiny details that the builders did. We still have a lot of the original details like the crown molding and the archways and stuff, and I just think it brings a lot of warmth and character into the home. I feel like our home is driven by three main principles, which is family, comfort, and passion. I have a lot of different interests. I'm a very hobby-driven person, and I always want the home that I'm in to feel really comfortable and to feel like me. I have definitely driven most of the decor decisions, and the overall vibe that I really resonate with is just being comfortable and cozy. A lot of our decor and a lot of our stuff has come from my parents. It's been passed down, and that's really special to me. We have a lot of books because I love to read. Everything in here has a purpose. It feels very lived in. I don't want it to feel too cold, and I've really created a space that I think Peter and I both love to be in.
I would say that we don't have the same taste, but I know that my taste is not as good as hers, so I typically defer to her on all style questions. I do have a room in the house where I usually work, where I have a couple pieces of art that didn't make the first cut, but I get to enjoy them in my own room.
There was a tapestry that he had in his LA apartment that I did not allow to come back to Northern California.
It's no longer with us.
Once you leave this little sitting room, you come right into our bedroom. I love this bedroom because we have such high ceilings. Peter is obviously very tall, so for him, it was a major plus as well. Again, one of the main things I want to feel in this house is just comfortable, cozy, and warm, and I think we've really done that with this room. I try to keep things pretty simple. I change up bedding seasonally, and I think these wall sconces are one of my favorite parts of this room. This one's a little bit crooked, but that's okay. This is something I've never actually had before, and I think it adds just a really cool element. This landscape painting is also from my mom. It was in the same hidden corner of the office, and I think it looks perfect here. We have another horse drawing here. This I actually found through a collector on Instagram, and I looked for her account today and I couldn't find it. So she had all the details of like who drew this and everything. I don't know who that is anymore, but I think it's such a great piece and it looks awesome here. I love this little sitting area in our bedroom. Unfortunately, our cushion did not come in time for this, but once we have our cushion here, I think it'll be great. I do keep shoes underneath here because we do have limited closet space, but it's just a great little area and it brings in so much natural light. We're really lucky. Our neighbors have done a great job landscaping, so we get a lot of greenery and kind of get to look at that all day. Sort of hidden in this top corner of our bedroom are more bottles of wine. Again, I don't drink, but my parents are big into wine. My mom is Italian, and for our wedding, which was at their house, they spent a lot of time curating the wine selection. There ended up being 90 bottles of wine for 72 people. So there was obviously some leftover, and my dad gave us one bottle of each, like different wine that was served throughout the courses. Who knows if we'll ever get into these bottles. I think it's just special to have them here. And again, we moved in a couple months ago, so this is still a work in progress, but I think having them here reminds me of our wedding and all that, especially because we don't have a lot of wedding photos framed and printed out yet. One of the more funky parts of this room is this fireplace mirror combination. If I had the choice, I actually would not have this mirror here, but I think we've made the best of it. We put some birch logs in here. I wish this was a functional fireplace, but it's not, so we're just gonna pretend with the logs. Again, here we were able to switch out this switch plate. I love the addition of color and the addition of texture. I think it just makes things more interesting. And this piece is actually one of my favorites. I found this at the flea market recently. It's actually a tapestry. So if you look at the back of it, there's all these loose threads because it pretty much looks like a rug. My little brother in Alaska loves this. I sent him a picture of it and he really wants it. So it might have to go to him one day, but for now it looks great here. Once you leave our bedroom, you kind of flow right into the kitchen, which really is one of my favorite parts of the house. We did the same thing with the switch plate right here. We kept them all the same. We only changed out those three, but I think it looks great. This is one of my favorite flea market finds. I love landscape paintings and especially frames that have a little bit more depth than a traditional frame. I think these go perfectly right here. It also matches our floors, which are a little bit funky. They're blue, green, and kind of brown, but I have really grown to love these. I think it goes great with everything that we've done. And you might notice as you walk up here, there is a definite increase in incline. Like it is a noticeable hill, but that's okay. We love it. This is our kitchen. It was recently redone, which I feel really lucky to have. Although it was recently renovated, I still feel like there's a lot of kind of depth and character in this room. I absolutely love it. I'm really big into cooking and it feels really homey in here. One of my favorite parts of this kitchen is actually our little hideaway curtain. I worked with our designer who works for Seven Hills and she knows how to sew. And so I bought fabric and she made a little hideaway curtain here because I don't love my dishwasher. And I think it looks so cute and cozy. I just absolutely love it. We have this kind of bay window in here. I don't know if you would really call it that, but it's allowed me to kind of display some cookbooks. I, again, feel so lucky. My mom gave me a massive box of cookbooks and having them on display feels so special. She's a great cook. She taught me how to cook. And so having them here obviously makes me feel closer to her. And I just think that I will be able to pass these down forever. So we have a couple in the bay window and then we have more where you would typically see a microwave. We don't have a microwave, so we put more books and again, more bottles that I will never drink right here, just as a decorative accent. This painting is a paint by numbers that again was in my childhood bedroom that I took, and it's so simple, but it's so sweet. I love it. Peter doesn't love it here because he always knocks it over, but it's worth having it here. I think it looks really sweet. Again, my brother might steal this from me one day, but for now, it's mine. I recently picked up these vintage candy molds from the flea market that I think are so cool. They're shaped like different animals in copper. I really wasn't sure what they were at first, and then I did some research because I wanted to buy more, and they're candy molds. They actually have little D-rings on them, so I was able to hang them here. I think they're so sweet. We have a pig, a rooster, and a sheep. I think they're adorable they just bring a lot of warmth here. I really am loving A new addition to this kitchen is also this butcher block. We got this actually this week because ours was so warped, and this is such a cool piece. It is 18 pounds, so I have yet to clean it. I just don't physically think I could lift that into the sink and clean it. So this is Peter's worst nightmare, but I think it adds so much to this room. These prints Peter and I bought while he was living in Los Angeles, again, at a flea market. And this was a learning lesson for us when we went to get them framed. We did not ask for a quote before doing custom framing. And that was a test early in our relationship when we both looked at each other after handing over the credit card and being like, oh my gosh, lesson learned, we'll never do custom framing without getting a quote first. But I do love these pieces. We go to Malibu every year together. So these are from the little like Soho house in Malibu. And then this was Peter's personal choice. As you may be able to tell, the sundaes and sandwiches, two of his favorite things. Making a home together has actually been such a seamless process. Although we moved in pretty quickly together, I feel like once we had all of our stuff and once we started talking about everything, it was really easy and really painless. As Peter mentioned previously, he lets me kind of take the reins on things. So I get to go out and source things I love, and I bring them home and he just kind of smiles and nods, which is great.
My job's the easy part. I let her do all the designing and styling, and then I do the cleaning. So yeah, it's a good partnership.
It's fun to do together, but I definitely take the lead, and he likes to see what I find, so.
I would probably say my favorite thing about Mimi is her drive. She's incredibly passionate and dedicated to whether it's her belt brand, reading almost 100 books this year, or growing her TikTok following really on her own. Whatever she sets her mind to, she really goes after it, and it's definitely something that I really admire about her.
That's so nice. My favorite thing about Peter is just how kind he is. I said to him the other day, I listen to these podcasts and I read these books about some men, and I just can't believe that I got so lucky. He is the kindest hearted person I've ever met. He's so gentle, he's so caring, and he's like a gentle giant. I'm just obsessed with him, and I feel really, really lucky. In here is what we call our dining room. It's very tiny, but it's really just us and Posey when we eat dinner. So this is all we need, really. Peter's mom at our wedding in her speech did mention that she thinks we need a real dining table, but we're not there yet. I love my little den more than a formal dining room. These stools are from a local consignment store that my dad actually got us as a housewarming present. I should mention that I picked them out first and he just bought them for us, but I really love them. I love having this more natural kind of vintage wood in here. I think it brings a lot of warmth into the room. This skateboard we've actually had since we lived in San Francisco together. I don't know where I saw this, and I don't really know how I feel about it now, but I think it fits in this corner perfectly. Again, big into horses, big into cowboys. I love it. Right over here, we have Posey's corner too. This is her favorite part of the house. She definitely gets into all kind of trouble over here. And then this piece is one of my personal favorites. I have had it for so long. And as you may be able to tell, the frame is on its last leg. Truly every day I hear it creak and I'm afraid it's gonna fall off the wall. One of my mom's best friends owns home stores in the Bay Area. And she had a client who imported different things from France and ended up importing this, and she didn't want it. So for my college graduation gift, she gave me this massive piece of art. At first I had no idea what to do with it, and it's come with me everywhere and it always has a home. I think it's so cool. I love having large scale art. The next thing on my to-do list is to get this frame fixed, but for now, she's hanging on. Right over here, like I said, we don't have a ton of wedding photos framed yet. This is one of our engagement photos that we had framed. We did an engagement shoot with actually one of my friends from college, and the pictures turned out so great. I'm not huge into having a ton of photographs around the house. I love that this one is shot from a distance. It just feels a little bit more interesting, and it covers some weird little wires that we have right here, so it's perfect.
To me, home is a place that you're really excited to get back to after you've been gone somewhere, whether it's work or travel. Home is somewhere where you're just excited to be after a long day or a long trip, and that's definitely how I feel about our home.
I love that. Home to me feels like comfort, and it feels like family, and it feels like peace. Whether it's my mom's paintings that she's passed down to me, or cookbooks she's given me, or little pieces that I've taken from my parents' home, or books that Peter has given me. Every piece in our home feels like something that was given to me with love. And I feel so grateful for that. I feel so comfortable every time I come into this home. Even when we get back from the grocery store, I just look at our house. I'm like, I love living here. Definitely was an untraditional way to get into this house. It was stressful at first, but I absolutely love it. It feels like us, and it just feels so cozy.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.